Why can't we get the full files? Why can't we? I think it's pretty simple. The full files would either completely vindicate Trump as having nothing to do with Epstein, and he would be inclined to release those today in the next hour if he wants to try and get ahead of this story and combat this story in the press before it gains any legs. But if he doesn't, that just serves to make me believe that the full files, if released, would only further implicate Trump in this Epstein saga. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a famous quote from Jeffrey Epstein. He said this to his brother, and his brother has been very open and public about this. You know, his brother's done interviews with the mainstream media. It's not like he's some random guy. Jeffrey Epstein once told his brother during the 2016 elections that if anyone knew what I knew about both parties, about both political candidates for president, neither party would be allowed to run for office. Neither candidate would be allowed to run for president of the United States. They'd both have to step down. Now, we have some new information today. Very damning information. At a time when Donald Trump is still saying that the Epstein trafficking was a hoax, a Democrat hoax, at the same time when Kash Patel is saying there are no files, this is all made up. We have new information, new leaks from the estate of Epstein. This comes from the House Oversight Committee. Democrats have released this, saying that, yes, actually, Donald Trump is involved in all of this. Jeffrey Epstein refers to President Trump as the dog that hasn't barked yet and says Trump spent hours at his house with one of the victims in a new released document. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released several emails today between Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, some of you might look at this and say, well, Jackson, these are Democrats releasing this. These emails are probably cherry-picked. Wait a second, I'll show you the emails. Judge for yourself. Second of all, if Trump knew that the Democrats had the possibility, the ability, even if it was a fraction of a percent, that the Democrats could improperly frame him for, poor behavior or some improper relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, why did Trump not release the Epstein files? Why did Trump not release the Epstein files? If he felt as though Democrats might try to cherry pick information and make him or his confidants look bad as a result of the cherry picked information, why not just release all the files? Why not just release all of the information? That way you could avoid things like this. Okay. Obviously, it's not about that. Obviously, there's something more nefarious at play here. And let's look into it, because the New York Times just dropped the article. Epstein alleged in emails that Trump knew of his conduct. These emails were sent, by the way, after Jeffrey Epstein took his 2008 plea deal. So here are the emails. This is an email, 2011, from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim's name. Spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. So there's portions of this email that have been redacted. But the meat and potatoes of the email that you should take away from this is, and this is like the most tame email of them all, is that Epstein is saying Trump spent hours at his own personal home, at Epstein's home, with one of the victims. And Trump hasn't come out and said anything about these victims. Trump hasn't. He's the dog that hasn't barked. Here's another one. Victim blank Mar-a-Lago. Trump said he asked me to resign, referring to a resignation that Trump said that he forced upon Epstein from the Mar-a-Lago golf club. Never a member, ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So in this email to Michael Wolff, who just wrote a book about Donald Trump, by the way, I love that this story in the media has become all about Trump, when it's like, what? Wait, whoa, wait, pause here. Why was Michael Wolff not questioned as to why he was in personal contact with Epstein? You know, that's a whole nother story. But anyways, so Epstein is saying Trump made the story up about asking me to resign from the Mar-a-Lago club. And that never happened because he was never a member of Mar-a-Lago. And of course he knew about the girls because he asked Elaine to stop. Wow. Now you might say that these are being taken out of context. Okay, Trump, release the full files. Simple. Simple as release the full files. Now here's the third one. This is very, very interesting, folks. This is very, very interesting. Okay? This is in December of 2015. This is from Michael Wolff to Epstein. I think you should let him hang himself, metaphorically speaking, in the media and the press. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him, metaphorically speaking, in the press in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of a political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Epstein responds, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And Michael Wolff responds, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in Scrum afterwards. So this is really crazy because it's like they're talking about crafting a message, blah, blah, blah. And Michael Wolff, unless he is misrepresenting the nature of the relationship here, is admitting that he has knowledge that, yes, Trump has been on the plane. Yes, Trump has been to his home. And the previous email I read you shows that Epstein even admitted that Trump has spent at least hours at his home, at his residence, with one of the victims. So one might presume that he has been on the plane as well, if this email and this correspondence is as correct as the previous email. Why can't we get the full files? Why can't we? I think it's pretty simple. The full files would either completely vindicate Trump as having nothing to do with Epstein, and he would be inclined to release those today in the next hour if he wants to try and get ahead of this story and combat this story in the press before it gains any legs. But if he doesn't, that just serves to make me believe that the full files, if released, would only further implicate Trump in this Epstein saga and this Epstein trafficking story. So we will wait and see, but it's not looking good for him right now. That's for sure. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.